Welcome to Variant Edition, the discussion. This is our show that we do once every now and then. It's us sitting down talking about comics. I'm Mike.
And I'm Ed.
I'm Lewis.
And I'm Nick. And today's discussion is the one that all of you bloodthirsty fans out there have been waiting for. Spider-Man 3. You can't tell if it was good or bad from the reviews, and people still want to know what we thought about it, so that's what you're going to be getting for the next about half hour.
Or so, depending on how long we decide to go with this. So, beginning of Spider-Man 3. Liked it, hate it, web scene, meteorite crashes.
Yeah, anything, you guys?
I think the whole scene of the opera with him like singing along with Mary Jane, that was kind of funny, and that's typical of like a Peter Parker to do.
That was pure cheese. Yeah, a lot of dorkiness right there. That kind of held true to Peter Parker.
It kind of set it up to the mood of like the comedy that was going along with the first two and everything. I thought that was done very well.
I just liked it because it's like, here's this loser of a guy sitting in this theater, mouthing terribly to this horrible song because he's like so infatuated with this chick that he's with. I mean, nobody could have ever figured out Peter Parker and Mary Jane, like outside of the whole Spider-Man crap, would have been together. So it's kind of cool to see this kid with these bunch of adults, and he's just, standing out like a sore thumb.
And I think it also sets up my favorite character in the movie, Harry, where he's, stalking them and looking at Peter
that's
the whole
really
time.
Cool, the overlooking.
Yeah, and he had a very creepy look as he was looking at him, like he had a plan, and he was just, checking out the situation and everything.
I got to backtrack here. I didn't like the opening. The whole meteorite crashing down with Venom coming out.
That was after.
You set up Jameson's son in episode 2.
I know, coming back
from space. Said he was an astronaut, and yet you still didn't make him a moon rock, came on down, this thing almost killed him, killed the whole crew, space shuttle crash lands. I know that just happened, not the crash landing, that didn't happen that long ago. But my point is that you deviated too much from the comic. And usually, in movies, I'm like, okay, look, movies are their own continuity, and I understand that. But Venom comes back in a space shuttle because of Jameson, the whole Wolfman thing going on. Stick another villain in there. It would have taken you 5 seconds. I'm sorry. It's just it just bugs me. Or even go with the Ultimate Spider-Man, where it's a suit that
was made
Harry's
by
dad was where Eddie Brock's dad was working on it with Peter Parker's dad. Go one of the two ways. Don't just be like, oh, this meteorite crash lands and here comes Venom.
That was
black ooze stuff.
You know what it was? They were just trying to avoid this whole big explanation about where the symbiote came from.
And a crash-landing space shuttle would have taken so much longer than a meteorite crash.
Oh, yeah, because you need a whole action sequence, Armageddon scene, then you need Aerosmith coming in, singing a song. So,
And Bruce Willis to commit... Yeah. I understand where you go, but still, it
was just too random. It just came out of nowhere, and what meteor does a little poof and a little smoke of fire? It just didn't make any sense.
And
it was
more importantly, what meteorite lands right next to Peter Parker so conveniently sticking the black ooze onto your motorcycle?
And I think even more importantly than that, Peter Parker, I guess, I don't know, in Spider-Man 3, he lost his spider sense?
Yeah.
Because, if you're hanging out and a meteorite lands...
You didn't feel the meteorite coming. Exactly.
Didn't feel that, and...
Thank you.
That can be kind of explained because he doesn't, have the spider sense to the alien, so maybe somehow it's blocked
to take
off.
that point even further, after that scene, when he's driving home, I guess he dropped Mary Jane off at her house, and he's on his little bike, Harry Osborn gets the jump on him.
Big time,
a la the scene in Spider-Man 2 where he's riding the moped, and the car's behind him, but he has the spider sense come in, he flips off, and he's saved. But now Harry Osborn does it, and he's like, oh shit, I just got my ass beat.
Yeah.
The ring! Oh, no.
The ring that fell, and they fought for like 10 minutes, and he ended up catching it still. That was pretty amazing, I thought. Anyway.
He's the amazing Spider-Man!
It's true. It's very true.
This is true. And then, of course, since we hit Harry Osborn as the new son of Green Goblin, then obviously we have to talk about the costume that he had and the different flyers.
That's a good point.
I don't know if anyone caught that little cutscene panel where it started going into the little layer that he rebuilt that his father left.
With the chromed out Green Goblin
mask? Chrome second mask.
I thought that looked
totally
better.
should have went with that. Maybe not the same suit, but just go with the mask. That was
put
so
some
cool.
diamonds in the mouth.
Yeah, with a grill in there,
That's why you don't make movies, okay? That's why, right there. You don't need that.
But it looked so cool, and then you saw the other glider and that glider, and then he walks up with these weird Oakley to snowboarding glasses, and just no.
The only thing I had a problem with was the fact that he had a katana. And he didn't have the Uber Mega Glider.
I liked it. I thought it was different.
I like the snowboard glider, don't get me wrong. But the Uber Mega Glider with the rockets and everything else, that would have been nice.
Yeah.
And I thought they portrayed the Goblin so much better in this one. He used his pumpkin bombs finally, He was
all the time.
He was throwing them left and right. Besides, who didn't love Willem Dafoe, but he threw like 2 pumpkin
yeah.
bombs.
This is
Yeah.
true.
You know, and they like incinerated the guys. It wasn't even like a real bomb.
And it was like a flash effect.
Yeah.
It was like strobe light. Oh, they're skeletons. This is much cooler. Lots more blades going on. Cool gauntlet piece on the arm with the blades popped out.
That was
Little
cool, yeah.
Batman-ish there, but that's okay.
Uh-huh.
I have to say, I like the new glider. I thought it fit.
I like the new glider.
because he didn't just ride it like an extreme snowboarder or anything. He rode it like the regular girl.
Not only that, but
flying
here's my
glider.
thing with the new glider was that it's got to be thin if you're weaving between buildings.
Oh,
Those
definitely.
alleyways aren't very big, and that huge glider's not going to make it, even though that would have been awesome to have a gigantic glider with giant pumpkin missiles.
See, it makes sense in
Just
the
me.
it makes sense in the movies because you could get away with so much more in the comics. You're watching the movie, you're like, oh, that makes sense, just for the point you made.
Yeah.
He gets squeezed through like that one scene where he has to squeeze through and he's
Yeah.
dodging all the things and everything, and he's fighting Spider-Man, so it makes sense.
So that's one of the villains that we got introduced into this movie, and of course the second villain being Sandman.
Now, I thought it was kind of interesting the way they did Sandman in this movie was kind of like the real life Sandman, where he put you to sleep.
Yeah,
That was
Yeah.
really bad.
No, that's okay. It's a great joke.
We're just gonna. Hopefully,
let's
we
just
cut
keep
that
rolling.
out. But
No, just keep going with that. Yeah, Sandman.
His daughter's sick. That's his excuse for everything.
Hey,
And why are they
that joke-
dematerializing sand?
No, I don't even know what they were doing. It's just like, okay, there's this pit, this government-owned, with a big laser gun over it, and periodically they're going to shoot a laser at it
That wasn't
to
a
find
laser
out
gun.
what.
That was like fluorescent lights on a
Whatever.
spinning thing.
that was like the poor man's excuse of being like, oh, I don't really have an idea of explaining. All right, well, we'll just make a machine that plays with sand, and hey, he gets turned into sand.
And I think
Yeah.
I think the explanation was it messed with like merging with particles or something.
No, but
They didn't even
merging
say
sand
anything like
particles
that,
with
though.
sand particles?
I don't know. I can't
What?
remember. It was just.
And then one of the guys, they were just like, "Oh, there's more DNA or some crap," and he was like, "Oh, it's probably just a bird.
Oh,
It'll
yeah,
fly."
yeah,
It's like, so what if it was a bird? Then you'd have like sand birds popping
yeah,
off.
That would be
yeah. What if
awesome.
sandbirds were attacking the city?
They wouldn't really do much
Well, then-
damage. They would fly into a building and then just kind of slide down.
Yeah, they don't have much of a conscience of like robbing a bank, so I guess that makes sense.
All right,
Maybe sand
enough-
pigeon would. Okay.
Enough about reaming that. Let's go back more into like Sandman.
Well,
You
Sandman, regardless, me personally didn't think he was needed. He was just a filler character. He wasn't really needed, but he looked great. I mean, the visual effects, the fight scenes between them, awesome. But even the fight scenes, from the movie, just building up through the trailers, weren't even lived up to what they looked like. I mean, like the special effects were good, but like the story within itself and the fight scene wasn't really that. It didn't have that much heart to it. So it was like, who cares?
But there was one really nice part with Sandman when he just becomes Sandman and he's pulling himself together.
Oh,
that's what I was just thinking about.
Just
That was
him
like the
so
nicest
dramatic.
effect that I've seen for Sandman out of the entire film.
Yeah.
I thought that was. I'm like, all right, maybe this character is gonna be a good character in the movie. Like, when seeing that being set up, besides the whole dumb, explanation, him becoming him, but just seeing him form and him like breaking down and not being able to sustain himself until he starts figuring it out, I thought was like, really good.
No, yeah, that was a great scene, but just the whole, I don't know, it left me empty. That I'm pretty sure it did for you guys too.
No,
just
I
like
agree.
the character
I agree.
himself.
There was like nothing
there was,
to him.
There was
I
not
mean-
enough character development other than his daughter's sick and he's stealing money to get her.
Yeah,
better.
that's his excuse
Yeah.
for everything. Why did
And-
my daughter's sick? Yeah, no.
and him just saying
that's
he's
almost as bad as in the new Rocky movie where he's like, "Oh, she died of the woman cancer." What's the woman cancer?
That is right.
But it was
That
just one of those
can
things. Oh,
be-
she's sick, she's dying, but yet she can sleep with the window unlocked. It's cool.
and another
Absolutely.
thing.
Well, who wants to steal a? I'm not even. gonna go into
Who wants
that.
to steal a dying daughter? Yeah, I know.
I mean,
I was gonna go.
You were
Anyway,
All right, so the next thing that happens is, of course, the black suit. New design for black suit, which was just basically the Spider-Man suit, black.
Yeah.
with a new spider,
With a new
which looked
with-
awesome. I thought it looked
Yeah.
really good.
I was
bigger.
fine with it. Everyone was like, "Oh, it's just the same Spider-Man suit but black." Well, wasn't that kind of like what it was anyway? I mean,
Well, there's a
granted,
big white symbol.
There was a big white symbol, but I
Yeah.
mean, for the movie, it works.
I mean, it
Okay,
makes sense because
Yeah.
it's like it would have looked a little silly if it was brought on film. And you get away with it through the colors of a comic artist. It's,
It
so
wasn't even
this is
just
true.
that. It's just like, I don't know. I think it worked for the movie because it's just like, okay, this black stuff went onto this suit.
Yeah.
Therefore, it's just that suit,
Yeah.
but black.
It took on the appearance of the suit. So, and
I thought the transformation sequence was really good. Just
Oh.
like the whole creeping of, something.
Yeah.
Just like kind of the whole something lurking in the dark feel to it. to it. Just like,
and
something bad's coming.
I think when I saw it with you, you even pointed this out. The fact that like the symbiote, when it wasn't on anything, it wasn't just like a liquid that spilled around. It had like a crawling destination to it. It had like little spiky fingers.
Hands. It seemed like it had a mind of its own, like an actual alien.
It was like spiders moving
and it
inside
like
of
needed the bond with something. You
Yeah.
know? It had that like desperation, which was like awesome. So.
What do you think of the black suit?
I didn't like it.
Oh,
Really?
I could have used a little bit more deviation from the actual suit. Maybe that's just... Well, obviously it's not just me, but I'm agreeing with people out there. The black suit should have been a little bit more different than just a different spider and then a black suit.
I think a better feel would have been like non-raised webs and just an actual like silky weird skin like,
Yeah,
more stuff
like
to his
even that
skin,
would have been
like
enough
oily.
to me.
And then
you should have made it
the
more
emblem.
viscous. It was very matte black. It should have been a little bit more shiny. Maybe a couple of maybe it should have looked a little more oil. Where oil has that, it's black, but then as the sun hits or light hits it, you get a little gold, a little blue, a little purple. Like that sort of thing going on would have been nice.
And going off your point, I think what they should have done, kind of like Venom, was seeing it move on like Eddie Brock. You could see the costume come to life instead of him just taking it off like it was a normal
You're
costume.
jumping a spot. Oh, so Spider-Man realizes the suit is bad. Let's backtrack there just for a second.
No,
he
how's it
gets
gonna-
into a huge fight with Sandman,
Yeah.
and you see the more aggressive side of Peter Parker. Not the emo punk hate kid.
Yeah.
That was Peter
Eyeliner.
Parker.
Don't forget the
eyeliner, and apparently this is me normal, this is evil me.
Oh, yeah.
Evil me,
Yeah.
evil,
Yeah, apparently we
normal.
we get into the fight with Sandman, kick his ass, and then come in and look at myself in a mirror that's randomly in a alleyway, and then just brush my hair, have a meat face, and turn emo, and then hey, next scene have eyeliner. Yeah, you're real badass.
However,
it's a sign of the times, Eddie.
that fight had all I needed to know about the black suit. For anybody going into the audience, I thought that's all they needed. They didn't need the emo kid getting changed, doing the stride, hitting on girls that he wouldn't normally hit on. All you needed was a more aggressive Spider-Man when it came to villains.
Right.
So Sandman getting punched and thrown into the train.
You didn't like the Saturday Night Fever?
No, I
sequence?
did not.
No,
I
loved it.
I could have done without the Bee Gees.
Yeah.
I liked your point, and I think I've talked to you about this. When you said showing a more aggressive Spider-Man with the criminals, you saw the
I was
Daily
saying
Bugle photos where it's like, Spider-Man in the
he's
black
lifting
suit,
up cars and
roughing up
motorcycles.
people. But if they actually showed
But if they showed that,
oh, that would have been great.
That would have been great because he would have been
So
picking on normal people. Who
Yeah.
doesn't use, any normal criminal gets webbed, hung up from a street pole. That's it.
Yeah, but now it'd be like, I'm going to knock you out a couple
Yeah,
times.
you would have been like, I'm gonna beat you up. I'm gonna throw you across the street because
I'm gonna
you're only
sodomize
human
you.
and fragile. Whatever.
I kind of see their whole point where like they're making him, more of like a jerk, and he's got more confidence. He's making himself look like a jackass. You know, going around dancing in the middle of the streets, looking at girls, and girls are like, "Are you serious?" But I think they should have done away with that. Focused more on the black suit, which was not enough in the film where Spider-Man was wearing it.
That's true.
So focus on him like losing control, losing him as a person, kicking the crap out of villains or normal gangsters or whatever. Where you're kind of like, wow, Spider-Man's losing it. This guy, he's got to calm down.
Well, then again, the way that they did it in the movie, I mean, granted, it was more on like the Peter Parker side of it, more than the Spider-Man side of it. But I thought that worked out nice. He's out doing his thing, being kind of a jerk ass, and whatever, he's fine with that. But then later on, he backhands Mary Jane. He's like, holy crap. Now I know that this suit's bad.
Like,
granted, it wasn't from a Spider-Man point of view, but it was from the Peter Parker point of view.
Yeah, that made sense with the whole feud of Eddie Brock and them like going as photographers, but you still wanted to see him more in a black costume because it didn't do its justice because it was barely in the film.
Well, the whole thing was like it was underneath his clothes. But
Yeah.
I got to go back here just for a second, just because when you said that Peter Parker is changing as a person because of the suit, it reminds me of what Kevin told me that he either read about or heard from somebody else. Peter Parker's a loser, all right? And he's a nerd, and he's a geek. So if you take somebody like that and you say, what's tough to me? What's cool? How can I be more awesome? These days you're going to get an emo kid. Not that emo kids are bad, that's...
No,
just
like,
what it is right
I
now.
was saying that to Eddie. It's a sign of the times. If this movie was done in the 50s, this is even before Spider-Man's out.
He would have been a greaser.
Exactly.
No.
That is exactly what I said.
I get your point and the sign,
you don't have to agree with it, but that's what it is.
But
What, do you want him to make him goth?
He didn't have to be goth. He could have just been a normal person that went to his darker side of just being, hey,
Well, his darker side has terrible
They
taste
were going
in fashion.
for a visual that was matching what was going on with the character.
But
Could
it was
they
just,
have done without it? Yes.
It's like anything, you know. Like I understand they were trying to throw out these symbols out there for today's society and for kids and for families, and that's why they did the movie the way that they did it. But it's like a bad idea is a bad idea, and a good idea is a good idea.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
You know, it's like you can't justify it by saying, well, they did it for these people. No, you know, like regardless, you make the good idea, people are to come and they're gonna be like, that's awesome. You know, it's just.
Speaking of bad ideas, Topher Grace's Eddie Brock, horrible decision.
Oh.
I thought he did a great job.
So did I.
On that.
See, the entire time I'm in the theater and I'm thinking to myself, at any moment Red's gonna come in and say, "Hey Venom, get out of my basement." You know, like
No, he's gonna come and be
Dumbass.
like, "You're being a dumbass, Venom."
yeah, exactly. Like it just, maybe it's just me saying, okay, Topher Grace is Eric from that '70s show, but could have gone with a tougher looking guy. You know, like he was scrawny, he was nothing, and then when he turns into Venom, he gets huge.
I have to say, well, that's also the costume taking over. You know, you
And
can't,
him giving into it more.
And even in the comics, I mean, he didn't get big until after he, you know, bonded with the symbiote because he started lifting and
Yeah, he
stuff.
started
You
working
remember? So it wasn't like he was kind of not always a big guy. I thought Topher Grace played the character of being a, you know,
Yeah, he was just being a dick.
yeah,
And
he's
he
being
did
a
really good
douchebag the
job
whole
at it.
time. I thought he was great at that, the whole build-up, you know, and him faking the photograph of, like, Spider-Man doing bad stuff, like robbing the bank. I thought that was awesome. And then the whole scene where Peter, with the black costume, well, underneath, and he goes to him and he picks him
slams
apart.
him against the window.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he picks him apart and he calls him out on it and he gets him fired. I thought that was great because it was like, it just showed, like, you know, Peter being all suave about it, you know? Just...
Well, not really suave, but, you know, the old Peter Parker would have just taken it and been like, whatever, but this one, you don't take guff from nobody.
And I thought that was a nicer touch to him going to his darker
Excellent
side.
use of guff, by the way.
Thank you.
Yeah, and that was a good way to show him going to the darker side as a Peter Parker as a person, and it's, I don't know, it was just, okay, let's just skip ahead here. He's in the
Yeah.
church, bells are ringing, suit's coming apart. That's the way you defeat Venom, or the black suit.
No,
Venom.
before we-
That's too far ahead, though. I think there's more elements we could touch on.
Yeah, like, you know what?
There was that whole awesome fight between Peter Parker and Harry Osborn.
Yeah. Which was awesome because it was, like, very personable. It was them without their costumes. Oh,
Even the music in the background was
wait a minute.
great.
Before we even get into this, we got to backtrack to, like, MJ and Peter Parker breaking up and the reason why they broke up.
And why did they break up?
Well, I would say Harry came out of his little coma, which Spider-Man put him in earlier in the film.
Yeah, he's so
Because
old.
we had
He closed
Father
eyes.
Osborn talking to him, which made him
Through a mirror, too. Through a mirror.
awesome scene. And then you see Harry go crazy, you know, through all these images of, like, memory. And he decides to mess with Peter, you know.
And that scene at the diner, like you said.
Well, we'll get to that. But
What we're missing-
basically, you know, Peter's been neglecting Mary Jane's feelings through the movie.
And pretty much neglecting her because he's out gallivanting in his pajamas all day.
Which was shown very well with the Stan Lee cameo, where he's like, I guess one man can make a difference.
Yeah.
Enough said!
Walks away. And
Perfect
you know,
one-liner.
yeah.
Perfect one-liner.
It was like, hey, Spider-Man's gonna be on the news later. Oh, and Mary Jane doesn't get to be in the play anymore. Oh, boo-hoo-hoo for MJ. I'm busy fighting crime.
Yeah, for the greater good.
For the greater good.
Like, isn't there some saying, you know, can, like, one life really cost...
I don't know where
like,
you're going
outweigh
with,
a bunch
but
of
she
other
just
lives?
sucked it up and said, I'm dating a superhero. I gotta
Yeah.
deal with these things.
Yeah.
My life means nothing.
Hey, she knew what she was getting herself into, so I don't know what she's complaining about.
So Spider-Man gets the key to the city.
That was pretty cool.
Oh, yeah.
That whole scene, the whole
That
celebration
is-
of We Love Spidey. New
Yeah, I
York
would
is
love to go to a
Spidey.
Spider-Man parade.
Yeah, who
That
would?
looked really fun.
It did.
Those foam fingers.
And Peter getting all excited, dancing with
yeah.
all the drummers and stuff.
Which was nice.
Yeah.
nice touch, seeing him get all giddy and stuff.
Getting his own entrance ready. I'm going to come in through 34th
yeah.
Street and then do this.
But back to what I was saying, where Harry, basically MJ goes to Harry for comfort, and this is before Harry gets his memory back. You know, they're having a great time, and they actually lock lips, and they're like, it's an awkward, kiss.
Yeah.
And
Oh, you're great, Eddie.
Never mind.
anyway, do you want
But
to add?
that wasn't the only kiss in the movie, though. We also
Yeah.
had the Gwen Stacy upside down kiss from Spidey, which
Yes,
was like,
which
that was One kiss!
Which went back to
Exactly.
the Spidey one kiss, yeah.
Oh my God! If we're gonna talk about that, Peter obviously was gonna propose to Mary Jane.
Oh,
and
where
the best part of the
best
movie.
part of the movie
Best part of the
Hands
movie.
down.
Hands down. Bruce Campbell's cameo.
He plays a French maitre d' at a French restaurant.
Hilarious.
Enough said.
If you don't know who
Hilarious.
Bruce Campbell is, Google the name, find out every movie he's been in, and watch them all. They're
And then have
amazing.
someone punch you in the mouth.
Yeah,
for not
because you're a
knowing who
sorry
he is.
person
Yeah.
for not knowing who he is. You know what? Don't even bother looking him up because you.
But yeah, like that was the one scene when I was in the theater that got the most reaction from the audience. Everybody in the
Definitely.
audience was dying
even
at
if
Bruce Campbell's
I think
scenes.
even if they didn't know who Bruce Campbell was,
it was
just,
genuinely funny.
he stole that whole scene. He
Absolutely.
was so
I
funny.
am French. It was classic. It was classic.
Calling him. Oh,
Oh, the whole clapping
Yeah,
scene.
You
Exactly.
want me to put it into the glass?
I like you. That man
like
needs
you.
to be in more movies.
absolutely, and more television shows.
He needs to be in
That's
everything.
another conversation down the line, I guess. Maybe if we
Yeah.
can.
Yeah.
Anyway, we keep getting off what we were trying to say with
Yeah.
Harry. So basically, after they have this nice little dinner and she's going to him for comfort and everything, and he wrote her a play back in high school, and because he has his old memory, because he lost his short-term memory. So they're talking, they have a good time, and they have an awkward kiss, and she basically leaves, and he gets all upset. And I guess through the emotions of that, he sees his father talking to him in the mirror, and basically it sets off the chain of events of him getting his memory back, and then Mary Jane goes back to her apartment, which is like an awesome scene because it's set up like almost like a horror movie.
Yes.
She tries to flicker the light, doesn't think too much of it, the lights doesn't come on, but Peter Parker was calling her at that time, and he's leaving a voice message, and he's crying out to her, and he's all upset, and you could see she's like feels really guilty about kissing Harry because what Peter's saying is very strong and like I want you back. And it's still dark in the room, obviously. Keep that in mind. And all of a sudden, Harry comes, boom, grabs her by the neck, which is just awesome. He throws her up against the wall, and says, "If you want Peter to live, you'll do what I say." It cuts.
That was a good tense scene.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which
It was just-
immediately made me think of 300. This will not be easy. I will not enjoy this. Off topic.
Are you talking about the movie? Or
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh.
Well, that was only in the movie. So.
I meant about the movie.
Okay, we're talking about Spider-Man 3. We're not talking about 300.
I think Harry's,
You brought it up.
Harry's story in this movie was portrayed so much better because you want to know why? Because you saw Happy Harry coming out of the coma in the hospital, and even though there was a line that kind of bothered me and kind of almost gave away the ending, I would give my life for my friends. I can kind of ignore that.
We'll get that later.
But
From personal experience, I know
Harry
that's
as a whole in this movie was perfect. Me and Kevin talked about it. It's like Harry, the way he was portrayed as like happy, good, I'm your friend again, was just kind of like Harry in the books and even the cartoon show.
Yeah.
it
I
was
agree
just
with
like-
you. His acting from good guy to bad guy was just on.
The
dead
transition
on.
was so good.
Yeah,
and
and
it was so
probably-
frightening. It was so
probably
frightening
one
how he
of the
went from
best
happy and how he choked out Mary Jane was just like,
Yeah.
whoa.
That's why I think he was the
Over-
best character,
overall-
well-developed character in the whole, I think, movie franchise, to be honest.
Yeah, overall performance was amazing. He definitely needs more work. Apparently,
Yeah.
he is a really great actor.
Yeah.
I had my doubts. I'm wrong.
I mean, yeah, because in the first two, he's kind of set up as a little baby, and
Yes.
that's not his fault. That's the
Yeah.
writer's fault, and I mean, he's done other great movies, but that's not the point. But
well, I gotta start speeding this up because we're running a little bit tight on time. I think so. Church bell sequence. Liked it, hate it?
I liked it, and personally, I thought they should have left it there and ended the movie there, leaving them off for the fourth
Oh,
one.
logical closing point for the fourth movie. An excellent call. But they didn't. Instead, we have a kidnapped Mary Jane in a cab held in
And
a massive
And
super CG
a blasphemous team up. Sandman and Venom?
Yeah.
What? They're like in
So
some
lame.
alley, and it's just like, oh, smack, oh, no, wait, I'm not Spider-Man, I want to team up with you. And then, another generic...
dead
too,
Flint.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's like an early clumsy Sinister Six setup.
It was just too
there's only
except
two
with
of us.
Venom, yeah.
There'll be four later on.
Yeah, it was too
And
campy.
then another Doc Ock out of the river, man. It's
Yeah,
gonna be great.
he's still
And
there.
three. Yeah, we're gonna Electro and the Lizard and Mysterio. You don't even know who that is yet.
Yeah.
But it's gonna be great.
I thought Venom looked
Bruce
great.
Campbell's gonna play.
Yeah.
It's gonna be awesome.
I thought Venom looked great.
Really Carnage-
Besides his girly fingernails, but I
Yeah.
thought overall he looked amazing.
I thought of a bit too much Carnage feel, but it was good though. It was really good.
I thought they couldn't have done a better job.
Yeah.
personally.
Team
they
up.
could have.
Team up with Sandman and Venom, and of course the only way to stop them would of course be the team up of Sonic
Harry,
Green Goblin,
Green
Goblin,
and
and
Peter
Spider-Man.
Parker.
Yeah.
Which
Spider-Man.
I honestly liked the team up between Harry and Spider-Man as
I liked
opposed to
it.
the team up of Venom, because Venom always worked alone. He
Yeah.
was a killer. I thought, I don't know, and that just wasn't,
But
justice wasn't done.
The team up was good for Harry and Peter because it was like the final closing, like a reconciliation, like we're friends again.
Exactly.
We're fighting for each other and for
then-
Mary Jane, and
and
now I will die. For you and
Exactly.
Mary Jane. There you go.
not to mention, I mean, people can't really complain about it. It happened in the comics. I mean, it was a wrapped up, quick version of it, but hey, it happened in the comics.
Yeah,
you
minus
know?
the drugs, you know. The drugs.
Well,
drugs are
yeah.
completely cut out.
Yeah, right.
Okay, so we have that. I have mixed feelings on it. I don't think Harry should have died. That's just me.
Yeah, I was
I liked
actually
Harry.
taken by
I wouldn't have liked
surprise.
the team up on if he didn't die. Like I think him
Yeah,
dying
I think
really
he had
made
to
it.
die. It had such a better emotional bond and impact on Spider-Man.
Because then the ending would have been like, you see Spider-Man web slinging away with like snowboard extreme sports guy behind
yeah,
him. It
and
wouldn't have looked right.
It just it wouldn't have worked for the fourth movie because it becomes campy. It's
Yeah.
like, what is he, Robin now to Spider-Man? You know that
Exactly,
it's like
yeah.
he's my teammate. It just wouldn't have worked
He's
out.
my apprentice.
He's my buddy. We fight crime together.
I thought that was great how Venom killed him, and that was set up awesome. And Venom just didn't get his screen time justice. I thought.
Yeah,
it's-
Venom definitely
that's
deserved
what
his
it boiled
own
down
movie.
to. The no Venom screen time, the Gwen Stacy 5-minute, which pretty much her role was a cameo.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The hottest girl in the movie, who's supposed to be Mary Jane, Gwen Stacy cameo. The black suit, regular black Spidey suit, underplayed completely. Like there were a lot of missing key elements, but it was just. I guess they tried making out with it for like the action, and it's like, oh, let's just throw in more CG.
They tried
more.
throwing way too. I agree. They tried
Yeah.
throwing way too much into the movie, and also I felt it just didn't follow the flow of the style of the first two movies.
Yeah, it felt like it kept cutting off at a point here. It's like, okay, this is something else going on.
Yeah, it didn't work. One, they just should have kept Sandman out completely, and then they killed Venom. I mean, so it's like
Maybe not.
Seemingly.
That's like
I mean,
the Boba Fett finish.
Seemingly.
yeah, but it's like you have this huge build up to the movie, for Venom, and he gets no screen time, and now it's like, well, they're gonna make a 4, 5, and 6. It's like, who are you gonna use? You could use Lizard. Lizard's awesome, but it's like,
Don't you go bad mouthing the Lizard. Doc Connors is the man.
I just said Lizard is
they can
man.
use it.
He
They
was
could
saying
use
he was
Swarm.
saying it was good.
Okay.
Now you're wasting
Well,
time.
I'm sorry.
We're on
I'm
short time.
I know we're on short
Anyway.
time. You could have had Swarm in the future. Nazi skeletons covered with bees. Always fun. Purple cape. Good times.
Okay, individual
So
reviews.
Mike,
Oh, you want me to start?
you
this?
start. I'll go, and then
Yeah.
Okay. Well.
So-
Okay. So, I guess wrapping up for me, I enjoyed it overall. Initially, I hated it. I came out of the theater thinking this movie is god awful. I can't believe I just wasted $9.50 to see a terrible Spider-Man movie. And after thinking about it for a couple of weeks now, I've actually learned to like what I liked about it, and I just realizing, hey, not the way I would have done things, but that's fine. Eddie?
I would overall give it a 6 or 7. Maybe a 7, but I have to agree. Like the first time I saw it, I was just very highly disappointed. I mean, it had like Harry Osborn, the development in his character. I thought was the best part of the movie, Bruce Campbell, and I felt that there's too many lame ideas and stupid things that were put in the movie that just kind of dragged it down. I mean, I did enjoy it better the second time when I saw it with you because I took it for what it was. There was no expectations anymore, so that's why I was disappointed the first time. But I mean, I enjoyed it. The fight scenes were good, but I just felt like, again, Venom didn't get his justice, and it just kind of leaves off the fourth film kind of unsatisfied. You're kind of like not looking forward to it.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Lewis?
Well, overall, I thought it was a really good movie. I want to say borderline great, but really good because with a movie like this, like you said, so much hype. There's teasers, there's leaked images coming out, and then you start thinking it's like this is gonna be too great, and you go see it, you're not satisfied. I try and stay away from all that, but there were key elements like we said were missing. Downplayed costume, downplayed Gwen Stacy, but you gotta look at the ups where it's just more action. There weren't any dull moments, not too many, not too much monologues or dialogues. It was just straight to action. The Sandman was good. And like you said, you gotta take the movie for what it is. Like, you can't expect too much. You expect a certain amount, and you gotta stop at a level and be like, all right, this is where I start taking the movie for what it is, because it's ultimately somebody else's envision of the character and his stories. And just the ensemble of more characters being introduced and played in, like Doc Connors, that whole scene where you see their friendship, which is great because his student, his teacher, and later on his teacher becomes one of his villains. That's great. That a lot of people don't know that, but I thought it was great. The whole overall element and world of Peter Parker is just being more broad, more brought to more light in this movie, and I just can't wait to see what they do with it if they do anything more. So I thought it was a good movie.
Nick?
My take on it was this. The gist of the movie, like the main story for the movie, the whole thing with Peter Parker getting the black suit and going against like the type of person that he is, and you know his moral dilemmas and all that crap. Everything that was going on between him and Mary Jane, everything that happened between him and Harry Osborn would have been great as a movie, as just that. Finish up the Green Goblin story, have some more turmoil between Peter Parker and Mary Jane, and that's it. You didn't need Sandman, and Venom definitely didn't get enough screen time.
I agree.
It should have been the story with Harry Osborn and Mary Jane, leading up to, Spider-Man 4 is going to be Venom.
Yeah,
and that's it.
The whole symbiote costume, you know, and that storyline and this Spider-Man mythos is just so big, and they just toned it down so much, and just kind of was like, we gotta fast track everything, and not, you know, do its justice, you know.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
All right, so that's what we thought of Spider-Man 3, and that's the end of our second discussion here. As per usual, you can hit us up the usual way. You can watch us all of our usual ways, and
forget about those other ways. Always go to Variant Edition.
Yeah,
you want the fastest downloads and the best quality. You go to our website, you chump.
Great discussion, guys. Great discussion.
So, I don't know, next discussion will be how Bruce Campbell needs to be in more movies?
Exactly.
I
Spider-Man
think so.
4, all about Bruce Campbell's character.
Yeah.
I still say he'd make a great Craven.
Yeah.
That'd be awkward.
That'd be great. That'd be great. You know what? He's such a character actor.
It'll be like the way he
off.
looks in the Old Spice commercial, just jacked up.
All right. We'll
No?
see you guys later.
Bye.
Bye.